All right, in the Tyler Kirk situation, it has been a while and the legal documents are stacking up. Today, I'm going to take a look from the very, very beginning, 9/16, September 16th, when those legal documents started to flow in. After the shooting on September 10th, followed up by the turning in of Tyler Robinson on the 11th, September 11th. Ironic that date, isn't it? And now on the 16th, when the legal documents started to flow in, I'm going to start covering these documents from the very beginning. Now, some of these are not going to be groundbreaking, but I do want to cover the essentials and the timelines in the official legal documents because that's part of what I do. Let's take a look at it. The devil is in the details. Remember that. Let's get going. All right, now on screen, I'm going to cover about 5 documents today, and I'm just going to cover some of the highlights of things that I found important. None of this is terribly groundbreaking, but it is some of my thoughts and my perspectives are a little different than other people, and you should know that by now. By the way, if you hear a little bit of a hollow sound in the room, I'm still working on my brand new studio, so bear with me on that. This first document is is filed in the fourth district for the fourth Judicial District Court of Utah, State of Utah, and it's in front. Let's see, we've got the Tyler Robinson it's the state of Utah versus Tyler Robinson. This is the first legal document that I've got on this list. All of this stuff, by the way, I've been getting from Andrea Burkhart. I think is that the name of the website. I better get that right in the notes. I'll put a link in the notes on here. Now, I'm not going to cover all the aggravated circumstances. As you know, Tyler Robinson is accused of shooting Tyler Kirk, and those aggravating circumstances include the fact that it was a reckless endangerment to other people, that it had to do with Charlie Kirk's political beliefs. That makes an aggravating circumstance, and the fact that Charlie Kirk had a child in the audience and that this shooter allegedly knew that and therefore committed an act of murder in front of a child under the age of 14. All of those add to aggravating circumstances, allowing the state to seek the death penalty for the aggravating circumstances. So that is kind of the gist of it. We got about 7 counts, I think. They're enumerated in here. You can see them on screen, 5, 6, 7. So there's the 7 counts. Basically, as summarized, including this count 7, basically murder committed in the presence of a child, and the person had to have known that that child was there, and that happened. But I want to cover some of the details that I catch in these documents. This one is kind of a high-level overview. The next one's going to get very, very detailed that we're going to cover. I'm going to cover a few things and just stuff that I see. On September 10th, this is that first document that we're going to review. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking on the campus of Utah Valley University, UVU, in Orem, Utah. That's counts 1 and 2. Police found that the suspect's murder weapon, bolt action 30-06 rifle nearby. Over the next approximate 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to the police. Now, I really, really, really want to focus on a couple things. First of all, 30-06 is indeed the weapon that they say was used. Many people online are arguing about whether or not it could have possibly been a 30-06. Some gun officials are saying there's no way that could have been a 30-06. There's discussion about whether the bullet blew through and came out, whether the bullet never came out and is still lodged in his neck, whether it's 38-6, whether 30-06, or whether it's some other caliber. We're going to set all that aside for the moment. What I want to focus on for the moment is this whole 33 hours pointed out in the document. I find that bothersome. So as a longtime conspiracy theorist, I am well aware of the number 33 and the significance of the number 33. And I'm well aware of conspiracy theories involving high-level assassinations and the Freemasons. And so with this particular case, it has not gone beyond my intention that the shooting of Charlie Kirk has Masonic elements. People say they see all kinds of symbolism in this, and it is something that I'm very, very familiar with. Now, it's not something I touch on a lot on this channel because I'm trying to focus on, quote unquote, just the facts and being a little bit shying away from conspiracy theory. But I must acknowledge to you that I find it odd that the documents keep pointing out that it was 33 hours, approximately 33 hours after the shooting that Robinson had turned himself in. I find that odd because I'm not sure it's super common to us list how many hours it was. 33, of course, is not a coincidental number if you're a person who follows Masonry. And then if you are aware, of course, Erica Kirk, the famous picture of Erica Kirk with her hand on her husband's or her dead husband's hands during a famous shot where she's wearing a G ring. It has a big giant G on it. Now her daughter Could have been reference to the name of her daughter, could have been just a symbolism of God. But many people who know Freemasonry, the Masonic ring, a very famous Masonic ring, any Masonic ring has a big giant G on it. And Erica Kirk is wearing a big G on her ring. So now you factor in the fact that the documents want to point out that it's 33 hours. 33 degree in masonry, right, is the traditional highest degree that you can reach in masonry. And so the number 33 has become symbolic of saying it's like a hidden language. It's like the Masons putting their stamp on it. That's the argument that be made, is the fact that they want to point out in the documents that it was 33 hours afterwards is supposedly for those who are in the know, people who are well versed into conspiracy and Freemasonry would be, oh, there's a reason why they told us it was 33 hours. They want to put their signature on it. And they put Erica Kirk's hand on her husband's with the giant G ring, indicating again the symbolism of Freemasons. And so there are some who will say, and I just want to acknowledge it today, that they will say that that whole thing, the fact that they spelled out in the document that he was shot, or that Tyler Robinson turned himself approximately 33 hours after the shooting, that would be the reason why they would point something out of the document. Somebody wanted to draw your attention that this has a Masonic origin. And again, the famous shot of Erica Kirk with the G ring. Again, she has a daughter with a name G in the name, right? So could it just be the daughter? It could be. Could it just be her love of God? And that's what the G is? Sure. Could it be Masonic? Sure. Because a ton of Masons use a giant G ring. And so it could be. So let's not forget about that. And let's not also forget the whole weirdness about September 11th in this country. And believe me, if you go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy, 9/11 and what happened on 9/11 and the towers looking like a giant 11 and all this with that, there are many people who believe that the Freemasons were involved in the taking down of the towers on September 11th. People who believe that the Masons were involved in the killing of John F. Kennedy and left signatures all over that thing as well, with 33s and stuff there. So again, I cannot look away from. The main thing I want you to find out is about me is that if you think I'm missing it, I'm not missing it. Will I spend a lot of time on it? Well, shit, I've already spent way more time on it than I thought I was going to. But the point being is I want you to understand, I catch it. I see it. Doesn't mean I'm going to put my hat on it right now, but I see it, and it's weird. So the whole September 11th thing, spelling out 33 hours. By the way, I did the math. On finding out if the shooting happened at 12:23 p.m., 33 hours later would put the time at about 9:23 p.m. the next day, in which Tyler Robinson allegedly turned himself in, which is interesting because I don't think in any of the documents it tells you exactly when Tyler Robinson turned himself in. But if it was approximately 33 hours later, that would put it at 9:30-ish, 9:23-ish, right, the next day. So keep that in mind if we ever want to find out when exactly it was that Tyler Robinson allegedly turned himself in. All right. So let's enough of that. We're gonna actually, I think I hit one more thing in purple. I highlighted it in purple, so that there we go. On the evening of September 11th, the law enforcement had continued their investigation, with a family friend, he turned himself in. Okay, it wasn't really a big deal. I just wanted to point out the 33 thing, and I hit it way harder than I expected to do. Now, after the shooting, Mr. Kirk. And by the way, my highlighting in this thing, there's the highlighting didn't want to highlight the entire paragraph, so I may miss something because it's kind of broken in places. But anyways, after the shooting, after shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, count 3, discarded the clothing that he wore when he fired the rifle, count 4. So again, we what we're paying attention to when we get later on down the road is all the things that the shooter had to have done: changing clothes, sneaking the rifle in his clothes, down his pant leg, the way he was walking, all of these, including being on the phone and texting. All of these things are stuff that I don't have the answer for you right now. But what I do is I like to look at the legal documents and break down the legal documents, because the devil is in the details. That's my big phrase now on my channel. The devil is in the details. So let's pay attention to the details, because later on, when I circle back and show you other documents, we're going to come back to these details. I almost guarantee you. So after the shooting, Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, count 3, discarded his clothing that he wore when he fired the rifle, count 4, and told his lover/roommate to delete incriminating text messages, count 5. That's the whole allegation of basically telling somebody to cover up the crime. That's part of the aggravating circumstances. And to not talk to the police. That's an additional thing. So the confession to the person and telling them not to talk to police, they're counting it as 2 counts. And then there was a child present, count 7. So these are all the aggravating circumstances that leads to the death penalty. Now, Turning Point USA, this is the organization that Charlie Kirk was running. Turning Point USA was a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, and organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10th 2025. So the event was scheduled, and the shooting happened on September 10th. Tyler Robinson turned himself on September 11th. The event was first in a series of similar events held at the college. We don't need to cover all of that right now, but I just wanted to point out some of the facts. We're getting the details, the devil's in the details. We're getting the details down because later on, again, this is going to come important. Approximately at noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself. This is on September 10th. Approximately at noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and a microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielded questions from attendees, a format that Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed the questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and his left, as well as some behind his canopy and others at various close locations near him. Now, stop here for a moment. Many people are very, very aware of the two individuals that are standing to the left and the right of Charlie Kirk, one of which seems as if they're tugging on their ear or moving or touching their face right before the shot, holding their phone in a strange way. I've commented on that before. In addition to the security guard, bodyguard, whatever you want to say, of Charlie Kirk, who's with him in many videos, who steps forwards and does some weird hand signals on his arm right before the shot's taken. And many people are questioning whether or not Charlie Kirk's own team of individuals called the shot in, told the shooter when to take the shot. And that's what it looks like to a lot of people. So let's leave it at that. But that is according to this document. This is why it's important. To this document, they're acknowledging his own team was close to him, as well as his team was other places around close locations near him. So we know one individual for sure, the gentleman in the black shirt with the tattoos that does the hand signaling. He's got sunglasses on. We know about that individual. We know about others that were near him and around him. So that's just part of the details to keep in mind later on when we get into who was there, who saw what, all those things. Again, I know you're looking for a big, huge shocker in this one. This is not so much a shocker thing. This is foundational information. So hopefully you'll bear with me on the foundational information and some of my insights, because later on it's going to have a payoff, I think. Now, temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was a UVU hall of flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet from floor to ceiling glass windows, which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Why is that important? Well, many people believe that the shot was taken from behind Charlie Kirk. There was a elevated platform behind him. There was elevated platforms to the left and right of him. There was a million angles in which that shot could have came through. Now, a lot of people are saying now that they're pretty convinced the shot came from the front. And now all the speculation is coming in. Yeah, maybe it did happen with a 30-06, and maybe it happened exactly like they said. But there is a lot of details that need to be answered, and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. We're going to cover some of that today, but a lot of it coming up later as we go. Now, approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering questions about a mass shooting by a transgender individual when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed close to several other individuals beside Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Kirk. By the way, have you seen the video? Have you seen the video where the actual questioner, the person who asked the question about gun violence, ironically, the person's asking Kirk about his opinions about gun violence in America right before Charlie Kirk is shot by a gun? There's a lot of irony there. Did you see the video of that same individual? And I guess I should probably get better about this and show the video myself. I don't have that. It's all over the internet. So you've either seen it or you haven't. If you haven't, it's easy to find. That same questioner who appears to be rehearsing his reaction to the gunshot. Prior to that shot, he's in the audience and you see him do this. And yet when the shot happens of Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk's assassinated right in front of him, he does this exactly the same way you see him earlier, almost practicing that event. Then you get into the details of who that particular questioner was, and he was part of a group of people. It appears very obvious, and I need to get the receipts for you. That'll be some follow-up information I think we can do. If you question me about that and you need the receipts because you haven't seen it somewhere else, let me know and I will give you the receipts. That individual who was questioning him appeared to be part of a group of individuals who hated Charlie Kirk. They thought he was a piece of shit and the world would be better off if he was dead. So the very person who asks him about the question right before he's shot and does this when he sees the shooting, which is the same thing apparently you see him do this right out in the audience as if practicing his reaction to the shot, and he's a known person who hates Charlie Kirk. That shit right there should be a major red flag. But it hasn't been covered a whole lot. I've seen only the basic receipts. I saw who the questioner was. I saw somebody did a video about who it was, and I saw the group that he was associated with. And yeah, they hate Charlie Kirk. So yeah, was that just a coincidence? And was he practicing those things? That's something to keep in mind. All right, we went off on a side tangent. Now, there was children present when Kirk was shot. That's part of the aggravating factors. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. So what does that mean? Did Charlie Kirk die at the hospital? That's not what it says. So he was rushed at the hospital where he was declared deceased. Was he already dead the second the bullet hit him? That's part of the ongoing discussion. We'll save that for later. It's not in these documents. We're going to be focusing on the legal documents a lot on this channel. So that's what we do, is focus on the legal documents, in my opinion, is what I see. Now let's talk a little bit about the UVU surveillance investigation. This is going to take a little longer than I expected. At the moment of the shot, a UVU, University of Utah police officer, the UVU officer from here on out called in that document, was watching from the crowd from an elevated vantage point. So the police officer himself has an elevated point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position, and he rushed there to look for evidence. The suspect's shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway, so it's easy to get there for anybody. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UVU officer climbed over that railing and down onto the roof, and then walked to the suspect's shooting location or position and confirmed that it had a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. Now, by the way, I'm paraphrasing what's read on screen. So if you want to read, double check me. I am paraphrasing a little bit for listening ability, right? But it's very, very similar. So if you want to get the exact wording, we'll look on screen, but it's close enough. Now, he also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with the sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by his elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. So this is what he sees the location where it looks like somebody had laid down and taken that shot. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it had recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing crossing the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15. So after this person finds what they think is the shooter's location, they go back, they review the video, and they see somebody indeed who walked there and jumped over the railing and down onto it at 12:15 p.m. Shooting happened at 12:23, I think, p.m. is what they said. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and low crawling into the area of the UVU officer, recognized as where the suspect sniper had dropped into the prone shooting position. Now stop for a moment. Anytime you say, I saw this person and then they left camera and I saw them continue on later when they would get picked up on camera, I myself start to ask my question, do we know for sure that the person that you saw prior and the person you saw after they left the camera's view is the same person? That's something the defense is also going to bring up. Is it the same person that you see? So even if they can prove Tyler Robinson is the guy coming up to the area, when he drops off a camera, can they prove it's still him that goes to the shooting position? And maybe you think that's a no, never mind. It is part of what we're going to get to in trial. Like potentially is that the same person? Did somebody else take the shot? That's going to come down. But anytime we get off camera, that's going to be something that I'm paying attention to, just to ask questions. All right. Now, so although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling into the area where the suspected sniper had dropped into the prone position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. The discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m. Now, this is important. Listen, these are the details we're going to need to get down clear. And I might build a timeline on my website. I wanted to build timelines for people to be able to go and watch my timeline and see the links to where the timelines where you can see it in official documents, but nobody seems to be going there. So it's a huge time suck for me to build the timeline for you if you're not going to look at it. So I'm still trying to debate where the channel's getting big enough that you're going to watch my timelines. So we'll put that aside for now. But if it does, this is where it's going to come from right here. This is the official record. At 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in its center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head low and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. he proceeds across campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. So that's how they believe that he got into the shooting location with nobody noticing he's carrying a rifle as he's got it stuffed down his pants. Is that a rifle in your pants, sir? Why, thank you. I'm pretty proud of it myself. No, that just was a rifle stuff. Sometimes your stiff-legged walk is just a rifle, not that you're super impressive. Anyways, I digress. That's what I do. By the way, this is a little bit of an adult channel. If you haven't got that shit, I'm going to have to put one of those. You know what I'm going to need to do? I'm going to need to do it right now. I'm going to go into, there you go. Parental advisory. Because yeah, I'm a little dirty sometimes. All right, let's go on. So he goes, he does the, he continues, consistent with the rifle being put in his pants. I'm not going to go there again. The unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railing off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. So the camera catches him running across the roof and getting into the shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down off the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground. Again, many of you have seen the video. I could place the video here. Apparently, I'm not placing the video here because you know how long it takes to do these fucking videos in the first place, and then you want me to find all the video footage for you? That video footage is out there a million places, so I'm just going to skip it and hope that you found it yourself. But maybe in the future, if you keep saying devil's advocate, your show would be a lot better if you actually showed the footage when you're talking about it. Maybe I should. Anyways, the suspect hits the ground, drops the weapon. He appears to drop the item that he was carrying when he hits the ground in a controlled fall. By the way, it looks like he has a limp. That's important, by the way. Let me tell you what I see. When he hits the ground, he limps. You see him visibly limp. What is that? Why is that important to me? Because if I was going to be able to prove that Tyler Robinson is the shooter, let me tell you something that I haven't heard anybody ask yet or say, and it's not a big deal. I'm not saying I'm a brainiac, but the point being is that limp indicates that he injured his ankle when he dropped off the roof. He hurt himself when he dropped off the roof. If he hurt himself bad enough and he sprained his leg or his ankle with a big sprain, would you not see bruising on the ankle consistent with that sprain? If that's the case, can we identify that Tyler Robinson indeed has a bruise consistent with the ankle sprain as he jumped off the roof? This would be important if you're ever going to have a discussion about whether Tyler Robinson was the shooter or not. Tyler Robinson clearly, I almost made a mistake. The shooter, because Tyler Robinson is allegedly the shooter, and he's presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Bad on me. The shooter, if that video was the shooter jumping off the roof and landing, had a sprain. It looks like they had a sprained ankle. They limped pretty hard, so they hurt themselves. This would be something I would want to look at. I want to see footage. I want to see video. I want to see shots of Tyler Robinson's ankle to see if he's got consistent bruising that would indicate that he sprained his ankle significantly. Maybe not. You can sprain your ankle without a bruise. But anyways, spent too much time on that. All right. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape route to the northeast end of the campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. This itself bothers me as well. Why wrap the rifle in a towel? These are just questions that I'm asking. I'm already asking these questions. Why a towel, cousin? That makes no sense. Anyways, the cousin thing is a reference to a movie. Why a spoon, cousin? Because it hurts more, you idiot. Anyways, tell me if you know the name of that movie, what that reference is. It doesn't relate to the towel, but I'm full of pop references. So if you know what I'm talking about, why a spoon, cousin? Because it hurts more, you idiot. Tell me what movie that is. Anyways, I don't know why a towel is what I'm saying. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. These details are important. This is consistent with the facts that officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shooting. No shell casings were found on the roof. So what does that mean? Suggesting that it was a bolt action rifle rather than an auto loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. So in a automatic type or a semi-automatic type weapon, when you shoot the weapon, the casing is often ejected to make room for the next bullet to be put into the chamber. When it's a bolt action rifle, you fire it, you got to pull it back to eject that casing, and then you slide another one into the chamber. It's not automatic, it's manual. This is why they say no shell casing was found on the roof, but it was still inside of the gun, along with some unfired bullets that had wording on the casing. So this is all important in the details, again, for the type of weapon that was used. Now, Each round had the following things on it. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but the first fired cartridge that was still inside the weapon said, "Notices bulge, OWO," which is like the big open eyes like an owl. Though in this thing, I imagine the W should be little. It should be a big O, a little W, and a big O, indicating two big eyes, like of the notices bulge, OWO. What's this? Okay, that was one of the bullets. The next one that wasn't fired, "Hey fascist, catch," with an arrow symbol on it, or symbols on it. The third cartridge that wasn't fired was "Oh Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao Ciao," which is a reference to a song, which has to do with gaming. It's a gaming reference. That's a whole thing I've covered before about the gaming reference. And here we go with potentially a Luigi Mangione connection. I'm not making that. The media did, but we'll save that for another day, or watch one of the other videos in the series on Tyler Robinson or Luigi Mangione for that matter. Lots of cool stuff on this channel. If you haven't checked it out, then now's the time to do so. All right. Fourth cartridge. "If you read this, you're gay, LMAO." Now, this part I particularly have a problem with, and I'll tell you why I have a problem with this. This is one of those things that really, really sticks in my craw. The shooter allegedly has some kind of problem with gender identity or whatever. Yet they are dating supposedly a biological male that's transitioning to female and has a relationship with a transgender or cross kind of scenario, LGBTQ kind of friendly thing. And yet he writes on a bullet casing, "If you read this, you're gay." It seems odd that somebody who is affiliated with that community would use that kind of phrasing. It just bothers me a little bit. And to be fair, and I'll be completely honest, I'm not a super person into the LGBTQ community. I've got friends who are close friends who are, but I would like to ask them. You tell me, is somebody who's friendly to that LGBTQ community going to say something like, "If you read this, you're gay"? Ha ha ha. It just, something feels off about that in the first place. But anyways, the rifle ammunition rounds, towel were sent to forensics processing. DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired rifle's cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was able to immediately identify the shooter, was unable to immediately identify the shooter. So they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. Now, Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more and more political and started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. So again, I ask you something. If a person is pro-gay and trans rights oriented, are they going to make a joke about, "If you see this, you're gay"? Ha 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 ha. Is it just me? Like maybe it is. Maybe my old age, I just can't relate to the thing. But I'm thinking to myself, if you're pro-gay and you're pro-trans, do you make jokes about you're gay? Anyways, enough said. It's something that bothers me. Now, she stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who has very different political views. So again, enough said. I've said enough of that. Now, police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those messages to police. On September 10, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson, which said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." And the roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. So this is the text exchange between Robinson and his biological male roommate, transitioning genders. And I don't know that they've ever been identified by name yet. I don't know. Maybe they have. I haven't paid attention enough. We're working through the legal documents. Again, this is like day one's legal documents. I don't want to read the entire thing, but I do want to, because again, let me say this. One more thing I want to say. For those of you who have seen, there are all kinds of online discussions about the text messages between Tyler Robinson and his lover that are not the same as this. This is why I say the devil's in the details. Forget all the stuff you see out there online about, oh my gosh, because some of those text messages that they're showing as Tyler Robinson starts out with, "Hey, it's Tyler Robinson here." Really? is that how you address somebody who already has your name and number? Do you say, hey, it's Tyler Robinson here? No, you would not do that. And yet there's a version of this text message exchange out there that says, hey, Tyler Robinson here. I don't buy it. Let's look at this. This is the details. This is what's in the actual discovery. This is what is in the police report. This is what they are officially saying. And it doesn't have the, hey, this is Tyler Robinson, like he has to explain who he is. But anyways, one thing that I wanted to point out is there was an individual at the shooting that right after the shooting, a guy, an older gentleman said, hey, I'm the shooter. I'm the shooter. Arrest me. I'm the guy. George Zinn, I believe is his name. That guy's got a whole history. This is where the conspiracy crazy shit's going to go off the hook again. This guy seems to have been involved with 9/11. And interesting that this is an event that happens essentially on 9/10, the day before, and the shooter turns himself on 9/11. Zinn has a connection to 9/11 allegedly, also to the Boston Marathon. Why is this guy showing up at various major political events or tragedies? Why is George Zinn there again? Now, here's what Tyler Robinson says about George Zinn. This person said, you're not, his roommate, his lover says, you're not really the person who did the shooting. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I am. But I thought they caught the person, according to his roommate. This is George Zinn that he's talking about, or this person's talking about. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. So there was a couple of people, two people that were suspected to be the shooter. One was George Zinn, the crazy old dude, according to this Robinson text exchange, allegedly. And then some other one who was in similar clothing as the shooter. I had planned to grab the rifle, he said, and drop at my drop point shortly after, but most of the side of the town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle that's lingering. So I just find it interesting, George Zinn's connection. We should be looking into that, and we will be looking into that more as we go on. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. That's the shooter's alleged, the alleged shooter's residence, Tyler Robinson. During that search, the police discovered shell casings with etchings, like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle. So again, saying, look, this guy's doing more etchings at home. We found more casings. What they say, we don't know yet, according to this document. I think some of that may have come out later. Police also found several targets with bullet holes in Robinson's homes. What those targets, if you're a shooter, you're going to have probably paper targets with holes in them. It wasn't a picture of, Charlie Kirk. I don't know. That would be a whole different thing. All right, let me pull up another document here, and we'll try to finish up. These other documents shouldn't take too, well, this one's going to take, I think, this one might take a little long, but the one after this will not take so long. Yeah, this one's going to take a little while, but we're going to, then the other ones will breeze through pretty quick. This is the affidavit for probable cause. This is much more detailed of specifics. The devil is in the details, so let's pay attention to what's being said here. Again, no big shockers here. So if you're like, what's your point, devil's advocates? Well, there's not a point yet. This is foundational material. Some people like that, some people don't. This is foundational material. So, all right. The following information was obtained by your affiant from police officers, multiple video recordings posted on social media websites, Utah University campus, surveillance cameras, and blah, blah, blah. What we're focusing on is the shooting here. Charles, while holding a microphone, speaking to the crowd. While speaking into the microphone, a loud gunshot was heard at approximately 12:23. That's when the shooting supposedly happened. And Charles appeared to have been hit in the neck. Blood was seen coming out of the left side of his neck as he fell over to his left. Charles was transported to Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem. There's people online who are now making references to Timpanogos and the doctors that were there. The famous doctor who said Charlie Kirk's bones were so dense it was like Superman. He stopped that bullet, a 30-06, stopped it inside of his body because his body was so good. And then in comes the religious right, which was that Jesus saved people in the audience by making Charlie Kirk's bones hardened. Therefore, no innocent people would be hit. I guess Charlie Kirk, that means wasn't innocent. Anyways, the point being is that that's the narrative out there by some people. And so leave it for what it is. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm trying to say these stories are crazy out there. The things that Charlie Kirk, miraculously saved other human beings because of either his personal amazing bone structure or God himself came in and hardened his bones to save innocent people, but not Charlie Kirk, because I guess he wasn't innocent. Is that what you're trying to say? If you're trying to say that God saved innocent people, does that mean that you don't think Charlie Kirk is innocent? I want to know if you thought that through. But anyways, point being is that those are the stories that are out there in the ether, if you will. Investigators were able to track down the suspect's movements on UVU campus starting at approximately 11:50 on September 10th. At approximately 11:50 hours, a UVU surveillance camera first captured suspect walking across a grassy area north of Campus Drive at approximately 800 West. So these details allow us to go walk walk the scene if we wanted to recreate this. Suspect walked south through the parking lot and approached a pedestrian tunnel that runs underneath Campus Drive. Again, there's a part of me that wants to drive out there and walk this exact path. Will I find something important from it? I don't know, but we are told the exact path, so keep that in mind. Now, before entering the tunnel, suspect paused at the top of the stairs and pulled out what appeared to be a cell phone from his right pocket using his right hand at approximately 11:53. Suspect eventually put what appeared to be a cell phone back in his right pants pocket using his right hand. That's what we need to know. Who was that cell phone call to or text message to? Was it the roommate? And what was said? Is this part of the exchange? It said earlier, hey, look under my keyboard. I've got something going on. Is that when it happened? And can we correlate those times? Again, because there's a conspiracy element to this, we're going to want to tie down those times and prove it and see who that text message was or phone call. Probably not a phone call. It doesn't say he was on a phone. It said he pulled out a cell phone, did something, and put the phone away. Probably a text message. Anyways, suspect eventually put away what appeared to be a cell phone back in his right pants pocket. Surveillance captured the suspect making his way towards the Lossy Center. At approximately 12:02 hours, suspect was recorded walking on the north side of the Lossy Center building, walking with the same gait as observed earlier. That gait that I have a giant thing down in my pants, and so I can hardly walk with this thing. It's so enormous. That was a rifle. Anyway, suspect entered the Lossy Center building through a set of doors on the southeast corner of the Lossy Center building. At approximately 12:15 hours, suspect was observed walking up the stairs that led to the common area adjacent to Lossy Center building. So earlier we'd seen only a generic description. This is much more detailed of what they saw, much more detailed of every second they saw him, much more detailed than that first document. Why is it important? It's not important other than if you want to look through the documents, this is the one you want to focus on. It's very, very detailed. Suspect walked to a short concrete wall that separates the common area from the rooftop of the Lossy Center building. At approximately 12:17, the suspect climbed over a short wall and appeared to crouch down on the north side of the wall on the rooftop. At approximately 12:22, the suspect stood up and started running across the rooftop of the Lossy Center building. The notable limp from previous surveillance was absent. Suspect ran to the west side of the rooftop and appeared to scoot along the rooftop area as he got closer to the edge of the rooftop. So he's crawling into position. It looks like at approximately 12:22, the suspect laid down in a position consistent with the prone shooting position near the edge of the rooftop and appeared to be facing west in the direction of the courtyard where Charlie Kirk is at. The rooftop of the Lossy Center building overlooks the courtyard area where the event featuring Charlie Kirk was taking place. The Lossy Center building is east of the courtyard. At approximately 12:23, Charlie Kirk was shot. At approximately 12:23, surveillance shows the suspect stood up suddenly from the edge of the rooftop and sprinted north of the rooftop of the Lossy Center building. Now, stop. What does that mean? Notice that they do not say they saw the shooter take the shot. Does it matter? What they said is they saw a person climb into position, they saw Charlie Kirk was shot, and then they saw the person get out of the shooting position. What they didn't say is we saw the muzzle flash. They did not say they saw the muzzle flash. Why is that important? Because many people are saying that shot didn't come from that location. That shot came from the side. That shot came from the back. That shot came from forward, but somebody somewhere else. Notice what they're saying or what they're not saying. The devil's in the details. What they're not saying is they saw the muzzle flash of the rifle. They didn't. They said they may have, but it's certainly not stated here. What they said is they saw somebody get into position. Charlie Kirk was shot, and then they saw a person get out of position. They did not say they saw the weapon fire. That's important to me. Now, so they see that he stood up. The suspect ran to the northeast corner of the Lossy Center building, approached the edge of the rooftop. Suspect placed a dark-colored item on the rooftop and proceeded to lower himself off the rooftop. That dark-colored item probably was a rifle, is what they're suggesting. The suspect dropped off the roof onto the grass below. The suspect ran north. What they're not saying is, again, when he landed, he dropped the rifle, and it looked like he walked off with a limp because it probably hurt like a son of a bitch. They're not mentioning that in this document. At approximately 12:24 hours, the suspect ran north across Campus Drive Road. Suspect appeared to be carrying an item whose identity is not clear from the surveillance. The area to the north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 bolt-action rifle. So this is important. What I haven't done yet is looked up the Mauser Model 98 30-06. There are many people who are arguing 30-06 would have completely blown Charlie Kirk's head off. There's no way that bullet lodged in his neck. Other people are saying, oh, there's versions of 30-06 that have smaller grain caliber or designed differently and would have possibly lodged in the body. This is a specific model. So those gun aficionados, I'm sure, are out there breaking down whether or not a Mauser 98 30-06 would have blown through or stopped inside the body. And is there any condition in which it could happen? Because weird shit happens. But that's the $1 million question. Did the shot get fired from that rifle that killed Charlie Kirk? And was Tyler Robinson holding onto the weapon when it happened? The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved into the casings found on the rifle. Inscriptions on the fired casings read, notices bulge. OWO, what's this? Inscriptions on 3 unfired casings read, hey, fascist, catch, with up arrow symbol and right arrow symbol and 3 down arrow symbols. So they're very specific. A second unfired casing read, oh, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow, Chow. And a third unfired casing read, if you read this, you're gay. LMAO. Well, I've hit that enough. All right. Investigators also discovered a shoe impression on the northeast corner of the rooftop edge of the Lossy Center building. This shoe impression was located in the vicinity where the suspect climbed down from the rooftop. The shoe impression is consistent with the shoe sole characteristic of a Converse Chuck Taylor shoe. Wow. Again, now we have details. We have an imprint left by a shoe that is specific to a specific type of shoe. Did Tyler Robinson have that shoe? I'm alleging that he did, which is exactly why it's spelled out what shoe left the impression, because they know that that's the shoe he was wearing. So that's important. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at UVU. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional footage from the UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on the UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th. Again, now we know the exact car, Dodge Challenger, that Tyler Robinson was allegedly driving and arrived on campus at 8:29. All those details are important when we get into things later, I'm sure. I don't have the answers yet. In which he was observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with white logo, light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with the surveillance images. Now stop. This is another thing that bothers me. Did we not just talk about earlier in this video that the shooter changed clothes? Did we not hear that they changed clothes? Did I just miss that? That he changed clothes was in an earlier document that we just read. And now they're saying when he was seen on September 12th in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in clothing consistent with the images on the video. So what exactly happened there? You change clothes. I got to work through that. I'm not going to work through it live. We're going to work through it. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Sorry, that's another pop culture reference. Who said that? This is like, I want an interactive video. Who said, fuck it, we'll do it live? Famous line in pop culture history. Anyways, investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson's who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th. This is new information. A dinner prior to September 10th in which there was a conversation with another family member, and Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why he didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. So he's bitching that Charlie Kirk's coming to campus. And so they want to know why he doesn't like him. The family member also stated that Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed that Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. So they're like, yeah, he hates Charlie Kirk and he drives that Dodge Challenger. This is the shooter. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed the roommate who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson as made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord, and he opened it up and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. So this is, I believe, his lover, roommate, and they are showing this conversation between Robinson and themselves. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon. So there's a phone message between this person and Tyler. That may be the text message that you see the shooter making on campus to that person. That would be a text. And so their phone contact has this person has a phone contact named Tyler that is consistent with all this stuff. And Robinson's roommate's device, the content of these messages on Discord included messages and something. So I got a little cutoff word here, something with the contact. They stated a need to retrieve a rifle from the drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where the rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. So Tyler Robinson allegedly is telling their lover that they are literally watching the location where they dropped their rifle, trying to find a time to pick the rifle back up because they dumped the rifle and now they're watching the rifle, trying to find a good time to go back and pick their rifle up and get out of there. So why did they dump the rifle in the first place? Anyways, these are all questions I ask because that's the way I work. The message is also referred to engraved bullets and mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. So that's the kind of stuff that bothers me. Hey, this is a super unique rifle. Only one rifle could have done this shot. Hey, look at me. I have to be the one that did it because I have the very specific rifle. It's like spelling out for somebody. I'm the guy that did it. Look at me. It has a very specific rifle. It's not just any rifle. It's this specific rifle. And I'm the one that did it. Look at me. That makes me feel, is there a patsy involved? By the way, if you haven't checked it out before, we have a special on my channel called Deep Devils, where we describe what patsies are and where the term patsy came from and why people think Tyler Robinson is just a patsy. But that's a side tangent for another day. Or maybe today. Do it today. Go check it out today. And then subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff. All right. The message also refers to engraved bullets and a mention to a scope and a rifle being unique. The messages from the contact, Tyler, also mentioned that he had changed outfits. Again, here it is. He changed outfits. Yet a couple days later, he's seen in the same outfit as the shooting. I don't understand exactly what's happening there. Maybe you guys have got it all worked out. Let me know. Based on the evidence detailed in this statement, I believe there's probable cause that Tyler Robinson committed the crimes of aggravated murder of Charlie Kirk. And that's it. Now, the last couple documents, and I like to keep these to about an hour. We're at 46 minutes. We got 15 minutes to do the last few documents, and I certainly think we can. So again, these are just the documents that dropped on the 16th of September, days after the shooting, the first kind of initial documents. And so we're breaking that down. I want to cancel this. All right. Here is another document now, the death penalty issue. And I don't know that I have a lot. No, we don't see, look at that. We don't even have to do that one. There's 2 documents left that we're going to do. Let's open this one. So all I was going to say with the death penalty, document. So I'm going to put it back on screen for just a moment. There's the death penalty document. All it basically is right off the bat. I think this is all I'm going to say. It wasn't anything to highlight. Right off the bat, day one, they're like, we do intend to seek the death penalty against Tyler Robinson. It was quick, very, very quick. And that's all I was going to mention about it, is how quickly they decided they're seeking the death penalty on this. Because they had all the aggravating factors, death in front of a child, when the person allegedly knew a child was there, and so on. Now, here's another document, the protective order that was filed on behalf of Erica Kirk. And I'm not sure Erica Kirk requested this. This might have just been done as part of a legal procedure. I'm pretty good at trying to understand the legal process. I like to break it down for people and let people know. So let me know, by the way, if you're in the legal profession, if this was just done on Erica's behalf or whether Erica actually requested it. But what this is a pretrial protective order for Erica Kirk, basically saying Tyler Robinson is not allowed to go anywhere near Erica or her family or anyone associated with her and contact her in any way, shape, or form. It is unsigned, this document. It's just a drafted document. So did they draft this and ask Erica if she would like to file this paperwork? I just found it interesting. It's in the details, and the devil's in the details. And the last document, let's go ahead and open the last document and get that on screen. All right. Now, this is where and it's not a huge groundbreaking thing, but again, I want to get all the foundational stuff. This is Jeffrey Neiman, who is going to represent Erica Kirk, who is representing Charlie Kirk. Now, why is that interesting? Because Charlie Kirk is dead. And so Erica Kirk is going to be the representative of Charlie Kirk, basically accusing Tyler Robinson of killing him. So Erica is taking on that role of speaking on behalf of her dead husband against Tyler Robinson. And so Jeffrey Neiman is going to be the attorney representing her. And that's all we're going to focus on, but I just want to get the wording. This is a request for a designation of a victim representative. Who's the victim? The victim is Charlie Kirk, but Erica wants to represent him in this case. So comes now Jeffrey Neiman on behalf of Charles James Kirk, Charlie Kirk. So that's who the defendant is, Charlie Kirk. Comes now Jeffrey Neiman on behalf of Charles James Kirk, the deceased victim in the above named case. And maybe I didn't get the wording about he's the defendant. The defendant is Tyler Robinson. You can see that right up here. Defendant, Tyler Robinson. But the victim in this case, sorry, I didn't mean to get that wrong. The victim is Charlie Kirk. Comes now Jeffrey Neiman on behalf of Charles James Kirk, the deceased victim in the above case, and files this request for the court to designate a representative to exercise the rights of the deceased victim. So this is basically asking Erica to be able to speak on behalf of her deceased husband. The statute provides that in cases where the victim is deceased, upon request from the victim's family, the court shall designate a representative of the victim to exercise the rights of a victim under the Rights of Crimes of Victims Act on behalf of the victim. It is requested that Erica Kirk, the widow of Charles James Kirk, be designated the representative of the victim, in this case, to exercise all the rights afforded to the victim pursuant to Utah Code, blah, 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 blah. Mrs. Kirk will be represented by the attorney Jeffrey Neiman, Esquire of Neiman, May, Flock, and Almeida, PLLC, Miami, Florida. So there you have it. That's the end of today's documents. That all happened on September 16th. What's the key takeaway from today? One, I haven't missed the Freemasonry symbolism. If you are interested in that kind of stuff and you want to hear me talk about it more, I am willing to do that on members only content. Why am I saying members only content? By the way, my memberships are only $2.99. It's super cheap, and you can buy it for 1 month and watch everything I've ever done for members and then back right out of it if you want to. So for $2.99, you can do that. But if you want to hear about some more of the Freemasonry stuff and my thoughts on Freemasonry, I will do that from members only. The reason being is that I'm trying to teach the algorithm and YouTube what my content is about. And what I'm not going to do too much is crazy conspiracy. And I don't want to say crazy because, again, there's teeth behind those conspiracies. Let me go full screen, by the way, because we don't need to look at legal documents anymore. So there are teeth behind the conspiracies, but I tend not to want to train YouTube that I'm a conspiracy theorist, even though I do understand the conspiracy theories behind them. So that's the kind of thing that I will do for members only. So if you want to get into the Freemasonry stuff and your questions about Freemasonry and what my thoughts are about Freemasonry, that is going to be kept on the down low on the public side. Sign up for the members only and then tell me on the members only content, hey, Devil's Advocates, I want to hear more about your thoughts on the Freemasonry angle on this, that you're a little bit too much of a pansy to talk about on your main page. And I will do that. Other key takeaways is just simply that foundational stuff. We now have details about what Tyler Robinson was driving, what they saw and what they didn't see. Notice again, what they didn't see, according to the documents that I read, was the muzzle flash from the rifle, showing that the shot came there. They saw somebody get into position. They saw somebody leave the position. They didn't see the shot being taken. They said, we saw somebody get into position. We saw Charlie Kirk got shot, and then we saw somebody leave the position of the firing, and we presume that's the same shooter. Was there another shooter? Was Tyler Robinson simply a patsy? Again, the rifle that was left behind, did he leave that rifle behind, or did somebody leave it behind to be incriminating Tyler Robinson? And I know that all of that sounds nuts, but what we do, this is how it works. What we do is we say, okay, what if it didn't happen that way? That's what's called playing the devil's advocates. And that's what I do on my channel. I play the devil's advocates with the mainstream media. Mainstream media tells us it's as simple as this. Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk, execute the motherfucker and move on. That's the official narrative. What I'll say is, what if it didn't happen that way? What if Tyler Robinson didn't shoot the bullet? What if it came from a different location? What if he's just a patsy? Those kind of questions. And whether at the end of the day, Tyler Robinson fired the shot or not is not so important as us when we go down the rabbit hole of playing devil's advocates. You'd be surprised at the shit that we will learn, the crazy shit that we will learn, because the devil is in the details. And by the way, I have a whole series that is called One Nation Under Blackmail. It's a review of a book by Whitney Webb that talks about it talks about the Charlie Kirk assassination in a roundabout way. What it talks about is Jeffrey Epstein and the blackmail in America and the fact, and it doesn't talk about it directly in the book, I don't think, but she's got a 2-volume set, heavy, deep stuff. I break down that book chapter by chapter to inform you on this shooting, because I think there's a bigger thing at stake. I think what Charlie Kirk represented and who he knew and what he was going to expose and what he was putting pressure on led to him being assassinated. And whether that was just some person who's supposedly pro-gay, pro-LGBTQ, who makes jokes about you being gay, or whether it's something else, that is, again, the devil's in the details. Thanks for listening. Hope you check this out. Like, subscribe. That costs you nothing. If you want bonus material, $2.99. I can give you a million analogies. That's nothing. It's nothing. $2.99. Otherwise, just like and subscribe. That's for free. Do it now. Thank you so much. Take it easy.